Everyone, welcome to Perseverance IAS. Today is Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. Let us begin with the first article that you have to read in the Hindu for competitive exams. GST collections dip in August 20, but Finance Ministry sees growth. Again, this is related to economy, so you have to read it to understand what is and how is Indian economy recovery is going on. Now moving on, breakthrough infections on expected lines. Again, this talks about Delta variant, Delta plus variant. Please do read about it and try to learn more about INSACOG. Possible prelims question for state services or central services exams. From that perspective, this article is important. Now moving on to the next article, split account to tax EPF income ministry. This is a policy thing. Learn what EPF is, what is the split that they are talking about. Will it have any impact on personal taxes? From that perspective, please do read this article. Now, no SC, ST, OBC quota for NRIs for NEET. This is the ministry's proposal for a national eligibility cum entrance test for medical seats and other exams. Now, read it from that perspective. Just informative from exam point of view, not at all important. Now, the thing that I forgot to highlight today is Kerala Panchayat Office bans Sir, Madam. Now this is not a prelims question, but this is a mains question. There is a greater possibility that a essay question might come in relations to something like this, because this is about the colonial mentality that India, they'll try to relate it to that decolonization of Indian, bureaucracy. So from that perspective, this becomes a little significant. Learn what decolonization is, what is colonization of Indian bureaucracy is. From that perspective, this article becomes a little bit significant. But remember, this is for mains and particularly essay, not for prelims. Moving on to page number 4, North and East. The significant article for prelims perspective is Ladakh adopts state animal and bird. Now this is very important. The both animals that they have adopted, the leopard and the bird, the black necked crane, are endangered and vulnerable. So please learn a little bit about them. What are the conservation methods that are being currently employed, so that they might not ask what is that animal or that bird, but they'll ask what are the conservative methods that are being adopted to protect these animals in our country. That's how important this article is. Prelims perspective, very important. Please do concentrate on this article. Now moving on to the editorial, page number 6, fleeting chair. This is again the financial measures, how to demand consumption. This is again the recent report. Our GDP has gone up by 20.1%. What you need to learn is the relationship between GDP and GVA. Learn what GVA is, what GDP is, how significant each is to Indian economy, and please do concentrate on the relationship between GVA and GDP. How factors affect GDP, what factors affect GDP, what factors affect GVA, and the impact that these factors would have on the overall economy. This is very important. Now moving on, when liberalism and nationalism are placed in Asia, just read it, forget about the rest. Not important for exam. Now India must commit to net zero emissions. Again, I forgot to highlight it. I totally disagree with what they are saying, but there is one important aspect that I want you to concentrate on, is no longer a trade-off. This article becomes really good from this point of time. Whatever he says or whatever he's arguing, absolutely I do not agree with it, because India has been actually doing a lot of good stuff in this regard. But India did not commit to the net zero goal because India is still a developing country. There are a lot of challenges for it, but India has been the only G20 country that was actually able to achieve the goals that were set in the Paris Agreement. So that part of the article I'm not going to suggest to read, because it doesn't make any much of an argument for it. But the no longer a trade-off, that part is really good, because it talks about Indian economy can actually adopt these things, and there is no longer a trade-off. There are certain technologies that India can capitalize on if it adopts net zero policy. So from that perspective, this article actually becomes a really good one. Now moving on to the next article, gauging household income for microfinance clients. This is in regards to microfinance ecosystem in India. What are the challenges? What are the RBI regulations? From that perspective, this article becomes important. Now, effectiveness of vaccines. This makes the case for being either vaccinated or not vaccinated. So if you need to know what the vaccine hesitancy is, so if you are already aware of what are the advantages, how important vaccines are, you can skip this, but I would suggest you read this article because it is kind of makes an argument. You will get some good points to support your answer in mains. Now moving on, above normal rain in September, IMD. Again, this is an informative article. Just read how deficit in rainfall will affect our economy at the end of the day, because it kind of has an impact on our economy. Now moving on, high honor for naval aviation. Now you need to learn about what are president's color. So from prelims perspective, it's kind of an important for at least state level service examinations. From that perspective, please do read this article. Now again, this is a pad exercise. This is again a prelims perspective. Read what this exercise is, how significant it is. Now moving on to the next article, poll body wants stuck EVMs to be released. This is again informative article. What is the problem here? Why they need these EVMs? Now moving on, Taliban urged to form inclusive government. This is our external affairs minister and former external affairs minister saying it. What are the challenges involved in forming an inclusive government? From that perspective, this article is written. Now, as I said, anything regards to Afghanistan, we have to concentrate for a short bit of time until some question is asked. After that, we don't have to worry. Now, page number 10, caste census needed for Muslims too. This is from the Pasmada Muslims section of the Muslims. So, read what Pasmada, the history of Pasmada Muslims, how the challenges involved there. Just being aware of might help you in cultural aspect. Assam wetland at risk till dumping stops. Activists. This is again the recent notification of deeper beel wildlife. What is deeper beel wildlife? Read a bit about what are the types of animals, what kind of a wetland it is, what is the challenges there. Possible prelims question. Okay. Now moving on. This is important. Declare how the national animal says Allahabad. What I am trying to say is, can fundamental rights be given to animals? From that perspective, read this article because it is important. This will be in discussion for a long period of time. Now moving on, mental health center must be covered. Now this is again a simple article, mental health. What I would suggest you is read what are the challenges in addressing mental health issues in India, why it is still a taboo topic. From that perspective, it is important. Assam flood hit 6.47 lakh people in 22 districts. What you have to read is why Assam is always under flood threat. Are there any mitigating factors that programs or schemes that the government of India or government of Assam can take up? What are the environmental challenges there? From that perspective, please do read. This is an economic toll that every year Assam goes through. From that perspective, it becomes important. Please do concentrate. Now moving on to world, page number 13, era of wars to remake countries. This article is important to understand what led Mr. Biden to take that decision and why he took that decision. In relation to that, what did America achieve in Afghanistan in 20 years? This article is also important because it gives you a detailed analysis of how ISIS developed and ISIS-K has developed, and it will give you an understanding of why America chose to exit at this point of time. And moving on to contain food prices, Sri Lanka declares economic emergency. This article is important. Please do read a lot about currency swap agreement because Beijing rolls out new data law. This read a little bit about what this data law talks about and how different it is from any other laws. How regress. Concentrate on what the law is. Not important for our exam, but being aware is always a good thing. Now moving on to the business, what I would suggest is auto sales growth is healthy, but chip shortage is worry. Concentrate on the concept of chip shortage. Possible question will be asked because this is not about only technology, this is about economy, and this is also about national security. Moving on, August manufacturing PMI shows recovery losing steam. Again, informative article because this talks about economy and it will help you in understanding what is the current stage of our economy. These are the important articles that you have to read for exam today. Thank you. Stay safe. Namaste.